boys, the skin market is crashing. I'm literally, not figuratively, gonna jump out the window like I'm a cartoonish 1920s stock market guy. No! My hecking investments are slightly down.
Hi, I'm a Reddit user, and I don't actually know anything about Counter-Strike skins, but I saw a YouTube thumbnail, so now I will tell everyone that the market is crashing, and they should sell their items.
Actually, boys, the market is fine. In fact, it's healing, and it's gonna get way better. Hope you had red skins. Congratulations, I only had purple stuff because I'm poor. Please donate me your now worthless knives using my trade link. So a few days ago, Valve made an incredibly good update to Counter-Strike that will significantly improve the item market in the long run, while slightly hurting the smelly, big money investors and massive item hoarders. These people use their huge wealth to buy up tons of rare items, knives mostly, which drives up the price, thus generating them more buying power, a self-sustaining loop of money making through market manipulation, entirely isolated to them, basically parasitically feeding on the occasional person who wants to actually get a knife. Fortunately, Valve is beginning to take away some power from these cliques of investors and giving it back to you, the people. And now more normal people will be able to get cooler items, and all items in general, except knives and a few other weird edge items, will go up in value a lot more than before. So in this rant video, I'm gonna give you all a lesson in electronic economics. Yes, this is financial advice. I can say that because Counter-Strike skins are not investments or monetary instruments. And why should you trust me, Shy Studios? Some random guy who makes mostly photography and gaming videos? Listen, fellas, I've never lost a single game of Open Transport Tycoon Deluxe. I think I know what I'm talking about when it comes to macroeconomics. Also, here's a screenshot of my inventory from 2014. As you can see, I was balling, but that's a different story for now. I unfortunately no longer have any of these. So I've actually been planning on making this particular video for a long time. Just that this recent update has gotten everyone talking about the item market, so I figured I would finally make the video in order to hopefully capitalize on the hype train of people searching for Counter-Strike market collapse. Originally, I intended to just make a very calm and boring analytical video as to why I believe the Counter-Strike item market is the greatest digital economy ever created. Like, it's better than Bitcoin, Monero, and all the other shit coins in every conceivable way. Okay, maybe not Monero. But instead, I'm gonna get a little heated, and I'm gonna teach you in this video why these digital items have value to begin with, why the annoying Reddit nerds who cry about money laundering are full of shit, how the market will continue to gain value indefinitely as long as it exists for the most part, and of course, all the possible things that could actually crash the market for real. And also, obviously, why the latest update is going to make things better in the long run. So first of all, I want you to remember that Valve employs multiple full-time legit pro-economic analysts, and they know what they're doing. They've run the numbers. There is no reason why they would ever do anything that would hurt the Counter-Strike item marketplace, because they make so much money from it. No, Valve wants 4 things. They want you to buy keys, they want you to buy games, and they want you buying and selling items on the market. And finally, they want you to have cool stuff so you're happy. More smiles equals more money for them. Valve is one of the only companies that is not directly hostile to their customer base. If items are all worthless on the market, then no one will be buying keys. And if items cost more on the market, more people buy keys and more people sell items. And for every single market transaction, Valve removes 15% of the transaction value from the money pool entirely, thus creating a perfect system where the more buying and selling that happens, the more base cost the items intrinsically have. No matter what, more real-life currency must be put into Valve's system to create enough Valve money for people to actually buy and sell items within the marketplace. And because they take that 15% cut, it is in their best interest to increase the overall price of all items across the board as long as it doesn't go up too much to affect the volume. Which is kind of what happened with knives. Knives got so expensive that nobody could actually trade them on the market. And now, since they're lower, you can actually get knives on the market. Remember, all money in the market exists entirely based on people buying Valve money using gift cards or whatever. The CS item market in general is a far better managed economy than almost anything else. And that's not even getting into the real details surrounding the supply and demand of items. CS actually works. There are tons of other games on the Steam market with their own items, but pretty much none of them actually gain value over time because no game manages the economy like Counter-Strike does. Take the best golf game, Golf It, for example. I have these super ultra rare items that are worthless. These were worth a ton when I got them, but I didn't sell them because I'm stupid and also I was actually using them. But since Golf It generates these consistently at the end of rounds, pretty much you can kind of just infinitely get items, which eventually floods the market, making even rare stuff worthless over time. Which isn't really a bad thing for a game like Golf It. It just means that over time, rarity is pointless, and it makes all of the items have the same value, since there's pretty much an infinite number of them. See my awoo emoticon? Yeah, this thing was like crazy expensive when I crafted it using trading cards. I don't know why I didn't just sell it. But, I guess it's cool. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, these freaking ones and zeros don't actually have any value! Yes, they do. Philosophically, they don't, but nothing does in that sense. Why do anything? Why play video games? Nothing matters, bro. It's just ones and zeros. So like, why appreciate it? It's just colors on the screen, man. It's just paint on canvas. It's just strings vibrating in an instrument. It doesn't actually have value, bro. Cosmetic weapon skins are cool. They are fun. And they are art, therefore they are desirable. No, they don't actually do anything except maybe make you happy, and they could be gone tomorrow if Valve just decides to remove them, but that's not gonna happen. There is also a limited number of these items in existence, thus making them valuable, quantifiably in non-US dollars. Even though the Steam market is in your local currency, it's not actually real money, it's Valve money. Not that the US dollar is real money either, it's currency. You can pay Valve real currency in order to purchase an item from the market. But selling an item to someone else never results in Valve giving anyone any real money or currency. It's a partially closed economy, and it's perfect. The only time Valve money leaves their system, besides when they take their 15% cut from every single market sale, is when you use Valve money to buy a video game or something like that, which then Valve takes a 30% cut and the rest goes to the publishers of that game. But 100% of that sale using Valve money is now removed from the total pool of existing Valve money. So buying games using Valve money is actually overall increasing the value of all Counter-Strike items, technically, because it makes the supply of Valve money lower, requiring more real currency to be put into the system by someone. The Valve market is really just there to facilitate a system for people to benefit from having these items and to trade without having to deal with people directly. It exists really entirely as a way to give back to players for buying stuff through Steam. It's like a customer rewards program almost. But the real value of each individual item comes not from the Valve market, but from a quasi-arbitrary peer-to-peer open exchange system that exists entirely outside of the market, but is stabilized by the market. You see, Valve lets players freely trade items between each other, and that opens up third-party methods of valuation. Items can be arbitrarily valued at a person-to-person level, completely separate from Valve's market. But most of the time, of course, people will stick to the current market prices. Not that they have to. You could buy skins from someone for way more or way less. You could just give skins to people. Hey, anyone want to lend me some super expensive stuff? I promise I'll only use it to flex, and I will not sell it, and you can have it back whenever. Trust me, bro. I don't even play Counter-Strike 2. I've never actually played a competitive game of CS2. I only play gun game. But this third-party, non-market trading ability is what gives the real value to the items. It allows people to pay for items using non-Valve money. And even though Valve money has some tangible value, it really isn't that useful in a broader sense. Like, you will never be able to use Valve monies to buy anything outside of Steam, really.
But actually, I watched a hit piece YouTube video about Counter-Strike items, and they said that, you can buy a Steam Deck and then sell it for real money without giving the government a cut so they can use it to bomb more children in a third world country? That's, like, so horrible. Like, literally, Valve is so bad for this. We should shut down Valve and make them go public so rich shareholders can take over the company.
Yeah, dude, that $500 you might make from going out of your way to sell your Steam Deck on Craigslist is, like, so bad. You're like such a bad tax evader, bro. Wow, you made an insignificant amount of money without paying the unfair, unjust income tax. By the way, you had to pay sales tax to get the Steam Deck in the first place. And also, there's nothing stopping you from just reporting the sale of your Steam Deck as income, which you are supposed to do when you sell stuff to people in person anyway, so it's no different than selling anything normally. You still had to give Valve your time and money to get items that made it so you can afford a Steam Deck in the first place. Plus, remember, all Valve money is from, like, gift cards, so someone paid real currency for that at some point. People act like Counter-Strike items just magically generate Valve money out of thin air. They don't. So the whole line of reasoning, people saying you can buy a Steam Deck or whatever, is absolutely ridiculous and should immediately be questioned because clearly those kinds of people have an ulterior motive. Remember my Team Fortress 2 will never be a dead game video where I talked about how you'll see more and more attacks on Valve in the future? Yeah, I was right, obviously, and I will continue to be right in the future. You may also be wondering, gee, why doesn't everyone just use third-party item markets? Then they don't have to give Valve 15%, right? And everything will be cheaper. Yeah, well, here's the thing. No normal person is using those. They are way too complicated and annoying to set up. No one wants to give them their personal info, like KYC. Yeah, no thanks, not using it. And they're also super sketchy. Normal people, at the most, are far more likely to do peer-to-peer item selling between people they know or just like asking online. The point is that within the Valve market, you're playing with fake money. The numbers are essentially meaningless and it's all 100% Valve's money. But Valve uses their money to stabilize the market and create a baseline for external markets. The only way to make real money is through trading with someone outside of the Valve market. And it doesn't matter if you have a ton of Valve money, you can't convert that into real money unless you buy something that someone is willing to pay you for outside of the Valve market. This is about when Reddit men start to cry and complain about hecking money laundering. Even though I don't really think most of these people actually know what money laundering really means, it's hardly a Counter-Strike item specific issue, and it really isn't actually that easy to launder money via these things. It's actually a lot easier to launder money just by like making a fake game on Steam. But no, these Reddit men, when they say money laundering, they pretty much just mean it lets you transfer value to people without giving the government a cut. That's so horrible. Can we please invade Iran? The Valve market perfection isn't limited to Counter-Strike, by the way. Like, any game that uses Steam can have items on the market. It's just Counter-Strike is the only game in which the items are distributed to players in a perfectly controlled way, thus creating the exact amount of supply and demand needed to ensure that new items are affordable and old items will slowly go up in price over time, but are still accessible. There is hardly any fear of missing out bullshit implemented in Counter-Strike. There's plenty of skins to go around, for now anyway. Many years down the road will be different, since the supply eventually will dry up. Which leads into the next part of the discussion. The people buying a ton of knives as investments are stupid. Or they're really rich and just do market manipulation. Like, no normal person would ever think to themselves, the way I'm gonna make money is I'm gonna buy the most expensive single item as an investment because maybe it will go up in price slightly and I can resell it for a little more to another idiot investor. No, No one with even a basic understanding of investing would ever think that that's a good idea. If you know every single item is going to increase in value over time slowly, then you're going to want to buy a lot of the cheapest, highest volume, most used items you can get a hold of, so that way you can exploit the compounding effect of having a lot of them, which in Counter-Strike item terms are cases. Counter-Strike cases are better than Bitcoin, and that's coming from someone who used to mine Bitcoin back when it first came out, and then lost all of it on Seals with Clubs buying people in who never paid me back. Hey, Anthony from Texas still owes me 1.9 Bitcoin. Anyone out there want to collect on that for me? But my Bitcoin sucks video is something that will come out in the future. Also, NFT freaks wish they could be even a fraction of what the Counter-Strike skin system is. NFT nerds will never, bro. They don't actually know how to create anything cool or desirable in the first place. They mostly just steal. Like the single most popular NFT, the Milady one, which by the way is backed by Peter Thiel and Steve Bannon, and is ran by an Indian guy. Yeah, their NFT is just stolen art. It's Tomoyo from Cardcaptor Sakura. Like, I may or may not have talked to the guy that the Remelia dudes paid to make those NFTs in the first place, and he confirmed that, yeah, he stole it from that anime. Can you believe that? The most popular NFT is stolen art? Solana, more like, get away from me, stinky, ooh. Anyway, back to Counter-Strike market analysis. The only thing that could ever change the CS case market is Valve or some stupid government regulation. And as you've seen recently, Valve has been finding more and more creative ways to get around regulations without even touching the case market stability. The majority of Counter-Strike items in existence are the result of opening cases. The purpose of opening cases is to get cool items, and hopefully rare ones that justify the price of a key. And because items are locked to specific cases, that makes the cases, on their own, have a set value. Since one case might have mostly lame items and another case might have mostly really cool items. But the more important thing is, each case is only generated for a limited amount of time. Mainly because they're always adding more stuff into the game. So they want to drop the new cases for players so people can actually access the new items that they add. This quickly means less and less old cases are brought into existence, thus limiting their supply. And anytime a new case comes out, the price starts extremely high and then drops off really hard to the point where the case is worth nothing because everybody has them. But every time someone opens a case, that means there's less supply. Which means over time, due to the fact that practically no old cases are generated, and that thousands of cases are being opened every single day, the supply is constantly getting smaller and smaller, so the price goes up. Slowly, but in a steady, very predictable way. The lifetime price chart of any case will always kind of look like this. A crazy high initial spike on release, rapidly falling to a flat line, and then slowly increasing more and more over time. And eventually it will exponentially increase because the less and less cases there are in existence, the more rare they become, thus their value increases. And eventually there'll be a time where there's simply no supply of certain cases because they'll all have been opened, or of course are lost inside the inventories of the accounts of our fallen gamer brethren. Let's have a moment of silence and a salute for our boys who have been last seen online multiple years ago. That's heavy. So the same is technically true for skins as well, not just cases, but for different reasons. So as cases are opened, weapon skins are generated. But of course the same problem exists as cases, where once all the cases are open, the supply of these skins stops for the most part. So naturally, over time, even common items will increase in price. But since there are so many different skins in general, it happens much slower at first. But the supply is actually much smaller than the supply of cases. So eventually, skins will go up much faster once there aren't any in existence. Assuming the skin is actually desirable, of course. Though even undesirable skins can still be desirable due to another big factor you have to consider, trade-up contracts, which is a cool system that lets you take a bunch of skins from a set and trade it up for a single rarer skin from that set. Typically, it takes 10 items to get one item of a higher rarity. So a single trade-up contract typically removes 9 skins from the global skin pool. This is actually what the recent update changed. Before you couldn't trade up for a knife, but now you can. Which means no longer do you have to directly unbox a knife, you can trade up for them. And now, all those max rarity red skins are worth 10 times as much, instantly, because you can just trade 5 of those max rarity weapon skins for a knife. Basically, Valve has taken the value of these extremely rare, almost impossible to get knives and spread them out into more items, while also creating more knives for people to actually enjoy. This means more normal people have a chance at a higher value item when unboxing a case, which will actually lead to far more people opening cases, thus driving the price of cases up and of course making Valve loads of money! Normal people have a far better chance to actually benefit from unboxing something, which will make more people buy more keys. Think about it. Knives are worth less now. Sure, good. That means I can actually afford one. But now red weapon skins are worth way, way more. I don't think there's a single one currently under $35 in any condition. Before this, there were a lot of cases that, for the most part, had no value except for the possibility of a knife. But now that value is spread out to some of the skins too, making it far better odds of actually getting something worth the price of a key when opening that case. It really is genius, and I wouldn't be surprised if more changes come in the future, like lowering the trade-up contracts to 5 for all of them instead of 10. And yes, cases are, right now, down in price, but all of this sudden market instability is pretty much an insignificant clickbait news story that, yes, even I am trying to exploit with this video. Basically, clickbait YouTube videos and Reddit Discord freaks are scaring people into selling everything off. Plus, all of the whales who are hoarding high-value items and a ton of these for-profit third-party trading and betting sites, they're all selling off tons of their assets right now in order to restructure. The entire market is going to bounce back extremely hard very soon. Just wait and see. I'm telling you, right now, buy the dip. It's gonna crank back up, probably. I, of course, can only sometimes predict the future. My psionic abilities aren't maximum. And maybe Reddit will cry enough and this minor price drop will snowball and take everything out with it. But then that just means everyone is going to be sitting on a ton of Valve money with nothing to spend it on. So things will eventually start selling again no matter what. Since, remember, you can't technically cash out of Valve money. You can buy games, but there's only so many games that you'd ever want to buy. You can buy like a Steam Deck per account. And honestly, me, personally, I probably will eventually sell all my cases and just buy a Steam Deck. Because I want a Steam Deck, maybe. See, the reality is, not only did the market not go down by much at all due to this update, but actually the prices were already down quite a lot before the update came out. You see this gradual decline, and then this big, crazy spike? That spike is the so-called market crash the other day, but the gradual decline, that was before the update. What was that? Well, maybe some of that's insider trading preempting the update, but really, that's the price of Bitcoin going down and the price of gold going up. The Counter-Strike skin market reflects other markets in certain ways. There are currently major financial changes happening that could change things a lot. In my opinion, now is a really good time to get rid of fiat currency and buy physical items of some kind that have actual value and practical use that can be easily resold. Things that are necessary commodities. You should be buying excavators, trucks, radios, cameras, computers, bullets, cows, fencing, portable sawmills, and any other tools and things that are difficult to manufacture at a small scale. There are, of course, far more outlandish possibilities that could actually screw the Counter-Strike skin market over that are well beyond the scope of mass financial collapse. One being a government like the EU bans cases entirely. This is probably not gonna happen, but if it does, worst case scenario, Valve blocks EU players from opening cases. Not that big of a loss for them. Europe is very tiny and very poor. Like, the distance from Moscow to Kiev is like the same as Chicago to St. Louis. Imagine if Chicago and St. Louis were literally at war right now. How crazy would that be? But also, there's a lot of European Counter-Strike players. In fact, there's probably more Euro Counter-Strike players than American ones, because Counter-Strike is very European. So I'm sure Valve would probably figure something out. Possible market problem number 2. Suddenly, everyone just stops participating. Like, no one plays Counter-Strike anymore. Again, not gonna happen. No matter how hard butthurt Reddit men try to cast their black magic bad vibes spells by constantly saying dead game over and over again, CS is nearly a 3-decade-old franchise. And even people like me who are not totally crazy about Counter-Strike 2, I prefer Source personally, I still like the game. It's better than the soulless Chinese ripoffs like Valorant that are exclusively played by bugmen and thotties. Also, the people who say that the hacking skin market keeps the game going. Bro, you know, Counter-Strike Go didn't have skins on launch. And the fact is that the pool of Valve money still exists and people will always want to use it for something, so it has to go somewhere. Unlikely possibility number 3, widespread revolutionary infrastructure destruction. You know all these AI data centers that are using up everyone's water and making their power bills skyrocket, and they're also really loud? Yeah, it's only a matter of time till gang scrap starts removing all the copper tubing from these data centers and all the aluminum from the power lines connecting those data centers to the grid. Valve would have to be really upfront about how they are not part of that problem if they don't want literally every single catalytic converter in their entire corporate parking lot stolen. All joking aside, if the internet or power goes out, then Counter-Strike skins are either going to be really expensive or worthless, depending on who you ask. Same with crypto and anything else that has no real physical presence. All of these scenarios are unlikely, but who knows? Maybe tomorrow Valve is just like, you know what? No more Counter-Strike. We're playing Dota 3 now. You can't predict the future. Unless you're a Valve employee who purchased huge quantities of red skins right before the recent update. There is also the hopefully unlikely possibility that Valve, for some reason, restricts free trade or makes automated trading accounts not allowed. That would make it a lot harder to do third-party skin transfers and would really make the prices of everything go crazy. And the worst possible thing that could happen would be Valve starts increasing drops of older cases or creates ways to obtain older items in ways besides cases. That would indeed ruin the entire market and piss everyone off. But outlandish possibilities work in the other way too. Fellas, imagine this for a moment. Look at my Bison Fuel Rod skin. What if they went and gave all the old skins a bit of new Source 2 flair? Imagine this skin, but the magazine uses the Molotov shader and it's filled with like sloshing green liquid goo. That would be the coolest thing ever. But I wouldn't even sell mine. I'd want a stat track version. How about this? The Glock clear polymer? What if it was actually clear polymer and you could see the mag going in and out of it? Like, what if they went and made every old skin just a little cooler? The prices would go up like crazy. Especially because, as I said earlier, the supply of these is very limited due to the lack of cases. And of course, trade-up contracts eating up vast amounts of lower-tier skins. It can happen, people! Oh, and since you made it this far into the video, here's another Shy Studios market pro tip before I wrap things up. Always, 100% of the time, no matter what, when there's a big sale on Steam, the market dips. That's because normal people go and they open up their inventories and they start selling stuff off to buy games. It happens every time. I can't imagine how many thousands of dollars worth in today's value of cases I used to sell for 3 cents each just to make a couple bucks to buy like a $1 game that was on sale back in the day. If you know that a big sale is coming, which one is, you can plan accordingly. Buy the dips! Now, with all that being said, well, this may seem extremely complicated, and I've been talking about this for 48 minutes now, according to my recording, surely saying thousands of words. This isn't really that complex of a topic. Anyone with any understanding of how the Counter-Strike item system works and basic economic theory should come to the same conclusions as me. It really isn't that hard. Everybody else wants to talk about market cap. There is no market cap. There is Valve money. That's it. Just remember, all you gotta know is keep hustling, keep trapping, and keep scrapping. Shout out to FreeEnt and Solid Hyrax, who said the secret word in the comments on the last rant video, which really sucked, by the way, and I definitely didn't get my point across very well. In these rant videos, I put a secret word somewhere on the screen of the video, and if you say it in the comments within the first week or so, I add you to the list of shoutouts in the next rant video that may be coming months or years in the future. Who knows? Alternatively, you could join channel members and certain tiers get their name read at the end of every video. Very cool. Nobody's joined channel members at those tiers yet, so my outro is always empty. That's why I have an outro at the end of videos. It's there for names to be there. Anyway, that's it. Next week, I will hopefully have a spooky Halloween video, so get subscribed for that.